A very warm welcome from the Sepang International Circuit here on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And warm is most certainly the word. Air temperatures are around 34 degrees and track temperatures around 58 degrees. Hello everyone, this is Mark James in the commentary box in Sepang, welcoming you to, well, no other way of putting it really, an historic weekend for touring car racing. This is the first weekend of the TCR International Series, and that's our grid. 17 cars made the trip to Malaysia, but unfortunately not all 17 of those cars will be competing this afternoon, but I'll tell you more in a moment. That is the man that is on pole position, Kevin Gleeson from the United States of America, who set the pole position time earlier today in our qualifying session in the West Coast Racing Honda Civic TCR car. 27-year-old Kevin Gleeson, an amateur driver, I suppose. Between the TCR meetings this year, he'll be back to the States to help run the family business in Pennsylvania. But he must be, and the team are absolutely delighted that he is on pole position. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, Andrea Bellicchi in a Seat Leon. Stefano Comini, Bellicchi's teammate in the target competition team, third on the grid. Fourth is Franz Engstler in an Audi TT Cup car. René Munich in the second of the Hondas, fifth. Sixth on the grid, the third and final Honda, Gianni Morbidelli. Sergei Avanasiev still adapting to two-wheel drive in a Seat Leon, seventh. Pape Oriola, eighth. And rounding things off, you saw there Jordi Genet, 10th on the grid. The reversed top 10 grid means that he will be on pole position for the second race, which happens tomorrow just before the Formula One race here in Sepang. The three cars we won't be seeing, the sole Ford Focus ST of the Pro Team operation from Italy, built by Onyx Motorsport in the UK. The cars had niggles, I think it's fair to say, all weekend. We also won't be seeing the two Campos Racing Opel Astras, although they are making repairs to the car to try and get a heating issue, or a cooling issue, I should say, sorted out. And hopefully one of the cars, or possibly both, may appear in the second race tomorrow. You saw there Andrea Bellicchi in the target competition Seat Leon, alongside Kevin Gleeson on the front row of the grid. Stefano Comini in another of the target competition Leons is third. Target massively experienced with this particular car. They've been competing in the Seat Leon Euro Cup for quite some time, so they know all about the car. And really the Seats, potentially the cars to beat this weekend. They've had an awful lot of experience in building and running these cars, more so than anyone else, particularly that Ford Focus I mentioned, which really hadn't turned a wheel in anger until it arrived here in Malaysia. The Audi TT Cup car, there are two here. Franz Engstler driving one, his teammate Mikhail Grachov from Russia driving the other. The Audi TT Cup car, you might think, might not conform with the TCR regulations, but underneath that shell, it is actually a Seat Leon in disguise that's actually built by Seat Sport in Barcelona. There is another of the Seats, and the third car in the Liqui-Moly Engstler Motorsport camp, the team running two Audis and a solitary Seat, Lorenzo Velia, one of four Italian drivers on the grid here.
I never saw this, so I don't know.
René Munich, a well-known figure in touring car racing, fifth on the grid. The way that the cars are evened out technically, if you like, is a balance of performance system which started in Barcelona a fortnight ago and has been constantly tweaked this weekend, weight being added and taken away to try and get a level playing field between all of the cars. And indeed the final BOP tweaking went on after the qualifying session. A minute to go until our green flag. That's the man at the back of the grid, making his touring car debut, although massively experienced in Asia GT and has a great knowledge of this Sepang track. Frank Yu from Hong Kong. We've 10 nationalities in all this weekend here in Sepang. We have one driver from Hong Kong, as you just saw, Frank Yu. We have 4 Italians, 3 Spanish, 2 German, 2 Russian, 1 American on pole, 1 Swiss, 1 Ukraine, 1 Hungarian, and 1 Danish driver, Michel Nukier, which we'll talk about, I suspect, at great length later on. Sergei Avanasiev, we mentioned, one of our 2 Russian drivers, massively experienced with rear-wheel drive cars, but still getting to grips with the front-wheel drive Seat. He didn't do at all badly. 7th on the grid he'll be for this race. We have a total of 10 laps or 25 minutes, whichever's the shorter. And of course, because we're here as a support race of Formula One, we fit into the time scale that they've given us. Originally, the plan, I think, was 8 laps or 20 minutes. A few extra minutes have been added to the equation, and the cars head off on their green flag lap. Kevin Gleeson leading the way. The cars weaving to get heat into their tyres, although I suspect heat is the last thing that the drivers will need. Talking to some of the drivers earlier about the temperatures inside the car, with track temperatures nudging 60 degrees, temperatures inside the car must be something like 70 degrees, and it's getting the hot air out of the car that's the problem. So you'll see a lot of the cars have windows open to try and improve the airflow, although that doesn't do a great deal for the aerodynamics of the car. I'll also talk about some of the visual cues. If you're trying to pick up the cars, you'll see looking down the long start-finish straight here at Sepang, the heat haze might make it slightly difficult to pick out the cars. Perfect example, although I think focus on this particular camera isn't helping. But you'll see that the target competition cars all in virtually identical blue liveries. And further back, you'll see the Craft Bamboo Lukoil cars in virtually identical red liveries. And so it's all down to things like sun strips and wing mirrors. The 3 West Coast Racing cars all down to the sun strips. Kevin Gleeson running an orange sun strip, René Munich green, and Gianni Morbidelli black. On the target competition Seats, Michel Nuccia runs an orange pair of door mirrors. Stefano Comini green, and those on Andrea Baliki's car are lime green. And the Lukoil cars, Jordi Genet, we mentioned, he'll be on pole position for race 2 tomorrow. Green door mirrors, Pepe Oriola's are white, and Sergei Avanasiev's are red. The track here then at Sepang, 5.54 kilometers, 15 corners, and an awful lot of overtaking maneuvers possible in some of the sequences of corners where these cars tend to go very light, very nervous at the back end. And of course, the closeness of touring car racing means that you make the slightest mistake and the guy behind you is up and past. On race day, 130,000 spectators can pack into Sepang, but today, of course, after TCR International Series is done and dusted, it's Formula One qualifying. Should also explain at this point that, in case you're fairly new to the TCR International Series, a new category of touring car racing, which the man who dreamt it all up, Marcello Lotti, was saying tries to recreate the pyramid system, if you like, of touring car racing, which existed in the 1990s with the likes of Super Touring and Super 2000, where the same technical regulations can be used to run national formulae or regional championships, or indeed a global series. And it's the global series that launches first, with something like 16 national series already committed to using the TCR regulations next year. And we'll see one of the regional championships, TCR Asia, launch later in the year. And TCR USA have also said that they will run a promotional category this year with a switch to TCR for next year. So hugely significant. A lot of eyes are on Sepang this weekend. Wherever you are in the world, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. And I hope the next 25 minutes or so will be as exciting for you as they have been so far for us here at the circuit. So to recap then, 14 of the 17 cars on the grid, no Ford Focus ST, although I have to pay tribute to the guys at Onyx Motorsport in the UK and also Pro Team in Italy, who did their utmost to get the car up and running. All sorts of niggles, electrical, there was a gearbox issue, and also cooling, which has affected most, if not all, of the cars here this weekend. And simply, it made it as far as the outlap in qualifying and then went no further. The 2 Campos Racing Opel Astras, a similar story, I'm afraid. Little niggles, cooling being the big issue. And they're not here, although they both appeared briefly in qualifying. So Gleeson then rolls up to his position on the front row of the grid. Charlie Whiting, familiar figure in Formula One, who has the honour of pressing the start button for this first ever TCR International Series race. The rules, I should say, 2-litre, turbocharged petrol or diesel engines, 2-wheel drive, and either 4 or 5 door shells, with a dispensation being allowed for the Audis for this season. Although, as I say, underneath, they are Seat Leons, built in Barcelona. So that's the look down from the end of the start-finish straight, one of the longest start-finish straights of the year, 830 meters. The green flag is waved. We wait for Charlie Whiting to do his duty and press the start button. An extra formation lap. So more time to tell you about the cars and the drivers here at Sepang this weekend. Originally 5 brands represented. I say brands, not manufacturers, because the thinking, if you like, the inspiration behind TCR was GT3. The manufacturers building cars for customer teams to run, and that's very much the case here, although there has been an awful lot of manufacturer interest. Seat Sport are here, obviously looking after their Leons. Jaime Puig, the director of Seat Sport, is here, but also a gentleman I was chatting to earlier, Jost Capito, the head of Volkswagen Motorsport. Very interested in, obviously, the Audis and the Seats. But there have been all sorts of rumours before the season even began about new manufacturers coming in, and Jost confirms that Volkswagen are very interested in the series and are evaluating an entry possibly later in the year. So we await that with interest. The biggest number of cars here, surprise, surprise, are the Seat Leons. They've had all this time to tweak the car from its Leon Euro Cup format into a TCR racer. So 9 Seats in all, 3 Hondas, 2 of those Audis, and then the cars we won't be seeing this afternoon, the 2 Opels run by Campos Racing and the Ford from Pro Team. The 9 Seats, incidentally, being run by a total of 4 teams. That's Frank Yu, who's one of the Craft Bamboo cars. There are 3 running in Lukoil livery, and Frank Yu's car in that green one-off livery. You see the some of the Lukoil cars going through shot there. One car being run by Zengo Motorsport from Hungary for the 18-year-old Ferenc Fixer, who was the star of our second practice session yesterday, but was hit very badly by dehydration immediately afterwards, and wasn't a well bunny at all. But 4 cars then from Craft Bamboo, 3 cars from Target Competition from Italy, but from the German-speaking Sud Tirol area of Italy. And then 1 car being run by Engstler Motorsport in conjunction with those 2 Audis, and 1, as I mentioned, from Zengo Motorsport in Hungary. So the cars make their way back to the grids in the second half of the circuit now. The run up towards turns 13 and 14, which effectively are back-to-back. And then the right-hander turn 14 will get us onto the back straight. Around one side of the massive central grandstand here at Sepang. There it is. And then the tight left-hander second gear hairpin gets us back onto the start-finish straight. And around you go. I was talking to Gianni Morbidelli this morning about gears and positioning on the track and so forth, and he was saying that a lot of the corners can be taken, the complexes can be taken as one effectively, turns 7 and 8, both right-handers. There is a clean line through the 2 of them, so you can take them effectively as one corner. But an awful lot, like turns 1 and 2, are effectively one complex. And it's when the car is cornering quickly that the back becomes a little bit unstable, and that's where the guy behind you, if you make the slightest mistake in either braking too early or too late, is up and past and away. There's the back straight I mentioned. Countdown boards in the distance to the left-hand hairpin to get us back onto the start-finish straight. spoke to Kevin Gleeson after the qualifying session this morning. He was absolutely delighted. He was, I think, languishing down in about 9th or 10th place, and made a change after the first part of qualifying. What happens here is we have a 15-minute Q1 where all cars are eligible. The top 12 then go forward after a 5-minute break to a 10-minute Q2 where the top 10 decide the grid for race 1, and then that top 10 is reversed to give us the race 2 grid. That here in Sepang will be tomorrow ahead of the Formula 1 race. Normally when we reach Europe, which will be in Valencia in Spain at the beginning of May, both races on the same day. So they form up again then. Let's see if we can have better luck this time around. And you do wonder if Kevin Gleeson can out-drag the Seat alongside him down to turn 1. This time the lights go on. 5 red lights we're looking for. And we're away. The first ever TCR International Series race underway, and a great start both from Kevin Gleeson, although he seemed to be bogged down slightly. It's one of the target competition cars up alongside him. And on the right-hand side there of your screens, Franz Engstler just being edged out slightly. And Gleeson and René Munich, who is a surprise leader possibly going into, but he's sliding wide, as does the Seat. That was an interesting first corner, to put it mildly. One of the Audis coasting to a halt there at the back of the field. And that would look like Franz Engstler, judging by the track positions. But it's Kevin Gleeson who must be slightly surprised after that first corner to be leading the cars down into this right-hander at turn 4. Second gear corner, up the hill. And then down to turns 5 and 6 before that pair of right-handers I mentioned earlier at turns 7 and 8. Pepe Oriola on the outside of Andrea Bellicchi. Bellicchi having dropped back from the first row of the grid alongside Gleeson. But it's Bellicchi's teammate in the target competition team, Stefano Comini, who's now challenging Gleeson. And I was right, that was Franz Engstler who slid wide on the outside of turn 1. So it's Mikhail Grachev in the sole Audi TT down in 9th place. So Gleeson leads from Comini with Sergei Afanasiev in 3rd place, Gianni Morbidelli in 4th, making it 2 Hondas in the top 4. That was Ferenc Fixer, one of 3 18-year-olds that we have in the fields this afternoon. And that was Mikhail Grachev having a look in the Audi. And indeed, he's done it. He's held the line. He gains a place. Grachev overtaking. Now this is what we thought would happen down the back straight. The Seat just being edged out. Kevin Gleeson keeping his nerve. So Comini goes wide, but Gleeson on the inside. Now this is a drag race once again up the start-finish straight. But it looks as though it'll be Comini on the correct line. Indeed, he gets past, so we have a new leader. Stefano Comini of the target competition team in the Seat Leon takes the lead from Kevin Gleeson. In 3rd place, it's Sergei Afanasiev weaving to try and get past Gleeson, forcing him onto the left-hand line, the right as you look at it, and Afanasiev takes a look up the inside for this right-left combination at turns 1 and 2. That's our top 8 at the moment. Comini leads from Gleeson. Afanasiev 3rd, Gianni Morbidelli 4th, Pepe Oriola 5th, Mikhail Grachev 6th in the Audi. Let's take another look at the start, if we may. And it was Franz Engstler who made a fantastic start, weaving out from behind the Seat and taking a drag down to the first corner. But let's see what happened at this first corner, where everybody just kind of went in a little bit too enthusiastically. It was Bellicchi who started spinning, and then Gleeson just keeps his nerve. Debris coming off one of the cars, and you see there just on the left, Franz Engstler. Ooh, contact again. Pepe Oriola, car 74, just getting sideways there. Is this where Ferenc Fixer went wide? Oh, contact there, that's why. With one of the target cars and just running through the gravel. So this is the scrap between, well, second, third, fourth and fifth, I guess. Comini off into the distance. Afanasiev now in second place, ahead of Gleeson, while we were watching that replay. And another one of the Seats just sneaking past Kevin Gleeson. It's Gianni Morbidelli now coming up on his teammate. So just exiting your shot, and it's Pepe Oriola having a look. Kevin Gleeson also trying to think about getting past, but they're on this slog down to the turn 15 hairpin. And the Honda on the outside of the Seat. So at the end of lap 2, Stefano Comini leads. In second place, Sergei Afanasiev. Third is Pepe Oriola. Fourth is Kevin Gleeson. Fifth is Gianni Morbidelli. Sixth is Mikhail Grachev. Seventh is Andrea Bellicchi. Morbidelli having a look up the inside of his teammate, but that's going nowhere. Jordi Genet in 8th place. Ferenc Fixer in 9th, and Michel Nukia 10th place. Now, you may recognize a fair few of those names if you're a touring car fan from the likes of the World Championship. But we have an awful lot of unfamiliar names here. As I mentioned, 3 18-year-olds who are really making a mark on things this weekend. And also we did have 2 Oriolas, Jordi and Pepe. Pepe we've already seen mixing it. Currently in 3rd place, there he is. And it's his brother who's unfortunately one of the early casualties, meant to be driving the Campos Racing Opel Astra. We already know that he had a wild card for later in the season with Target Competition, with whom he'll be contesting the Seat Leon Euro Cup. But Spanish team, Spanish driver, would you like to run one of our cars here in Sepang? And the obvious answer was, why not? Well, it appears that the car has cooling issues. Both cars, that of Jordi Oriola and Igor Shkuz from Ukraine, sidelined with running extremely hot. And I understand that they've got and Oriola having a look. Yes, Oriola passes his teammate. It was Oriola who was quickest in free practice 1 yesterday, and then it was Ferenc Fixer at the other end of the experience scale who was quickest in free practice 2. So we're looking at 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment. So look at that lead already. Stefano Comini already stretching his lead from Pepe Oriola in 2nd place, Sergei Afanasiev in 3rd. 4th and 5th haven't changed places. Gleeson leads from Morbidelli. Andrea Bellicchi must be kicking himself after that first corner incident. We saw Jordi Genet there just ahead of Ferenc Fixer. Genet will be on pole tomorrow, and that's a name you'll definitely know from touring cars. Has been involved with Seats for a long, long time, Jordi, and responsible for a lot of the development work, including the debut of the Seat Leon TDI in the World Championship. So 12 of our cars cross the line. Frank Yu is already quite a long way back. Enschler stopped on lap 1, and Igor Shkuz, Jordi Oriola and Diego Romanini in the Ford not having made the start. The gap then between Gleeson and Morbidelli now over a second. Gleeson holding his nerve from his far more experienced teammate, and Morbidelli having done pretty much everything in racing, from karts right up to Formula 1. And one of the nicest guys here was showing me a cooling system earlier, trying to combat the incredibly high temperatures in the cockpit. There's a t-shirt. Pictures are available on Facebook and Twitter of a t-shirt with a cooling system woven into it. But he was saying that because it's an ice-based system in a little bag that sits in the car, that once the ice melts, which takes about 10 or 15 minutes, then it's not actually much help. In fact, it's a bit of a hindrance. Another drag race going on here between Beliki in the target Seat and Grachev in the Audi. Beliki, though, finding a way past, and Grachev already... Grachev's got a problem, look. Slowing tremendously, which is a shame. Both of the Audis sidelined at not even the halfway point in the race. And the car all over the place. Grachev nursing the car back to the pits. And Grachev retiring, it looks like, from 6th place. Ferenc Fixer putting pressure now on Jordi Genet with Michel Nukia behind Fixer. But after 4 laps, it's Stefano Comini who leads Pepe Oriola, Sergei Avanasiev in 3rd place, Kevin Gleeson in 4th, Gianni Morbidelli in 5th, Andrea Beliki in 6th. And then it's this little scrap we're watching. Jordi Genet 7th, Ferenc Fixer 8th, Michel Nukia 9th, Lorenzo Velia, who we've hardly mentioned, in 10th place in the 3rd of the Engstler Motorsport cars, but the Leon rather than the Audis. So there's our top 8 with Nukia and Velia. Behind those two, René Munich is in the pits. You may have seen him in the background. And we're just waiting for, and Grachev has now confirmed as having stopped. The West Coast Racing team taking a look at Munich's car, and I suspect that's going no further. A real multinational team, West Coast, based in Sweden. The cars are built by Jasport in Italy. Again, a familiar name if you're a touring car fan. But the West Coast team involving an awful lot of Britons, including James Nixon, the team manager. Michel Nukia battling with Ferenc Fixer, and it could well be that the more experienced Danish driver gets the upper hand. Ferenc Fixer, the hopes of Hungary are on his shoulders, driving for the Zengo Motorsport team, again a familiar name, and having come through their academy. I know we've got an awful lot of Hungarian fans following us online. If you're watching online, a very good morning to you. Now we're coming down to the left-hander, and has Nukia tucked up the inside. Ooh, locking up, but yes, just goes through. Michel Nukia, a race winner at World Championship level, making that experience stick. And one of the comments Gianni Morbidelli was making to me yesterday when we spoke briefly, and reinforced it this morning, was that an awful lot of fatigue is going to happen probably around now. He said after about 5 laps, where if you start to sweat and become uncomfortable in the car, you start to concentrate on how you're feeling and your body rather than what's happening. And he said that's when mistakes start to happen, particularly in some of these corners where you put a sequence of moves together. So, for example, turns 13 and 14 to get us back onto the back straight. He said if you miss your braking there and someone's just up behind you, they'll be through. So Michel Nukia now in 8th place and off in pursuit of Jordi Genet ahead of him. Our leader, though, is still Stefano Comini, Nukia's teammate. There is our race leader, Stefano Comini, car 25, sporting the bright green door mirrors, which when the cars are coming towards you, particularly through that heat haze and it's difficult to pick out the names on the windscreen, an easy way of telling them apart, just lifting the rear wheel slightly in that right-hander. Pepe Oriola, Sergei Afanasiev, excuse me. And then behind Afanasiev, the two Hondas, there they are, of Kevin Gleeson and Gianni Morbidelli. Just look at those gaps that are now starting to open up after 5 laps. Counter at the top of your screen suggesting we have 4 laps left. I suspect that's probably not the case, because we're up against the clock here also. We have to finish on time, and so I suspect it'll go to time rather than duration, although you never know. We are limited to 25 minutes maximum. So Jordi Genet lapping, it has to be said, around about a 1/10 of a second slower than the man behind him, Michel Nukier. So that's a gap that'll close. Afanasiev also coming under pressure now from Kevin Gleeson, who's determined to show that pole position wasn't a fluke. As things currently stand, Gleeson actually leads the championship, because points are awarded in qualifying for 5th up to 1st. And then in the races themselves, points for the top 10. We also have a Man of the Meeting award, and you have to say things are fairly wide open, but Gleeson's done an awful lot to put himself in contention for that, because the Hondas really all weekend have been playing second fiddle to the Seats, and that's not really a surprise considering the amount of test and development time that the Seats have had compared to the Hondas. Oh! Gleeson putting pressure, Afanasiev locking up, Gleeson going round the outside, but the Russian driver hanging on. Morbidelli not that far back either, waiting to capitalise, should either make an error. In case you're wondering, Afanasiev in 3rd place at the moment, so no wonder Gleeson is putting pressure on him. That's the 3rd podium position up for grabs, and again he makes his move, but he's going to have to out-drag him down to this left-hander, turn 15, that gets us back onto the start-finish straight, and Afanasiev moves across to just deny him that chance. You have to say that, with the exception of that contact right at the start of the race, it's all been quite gentlemanly so far. Touring car racing perhaps has a reputation as a full contact form of motorsport, and as Kevin Gleeson would know only too well, as Gianni Morbidelli would come into the equation as well. The Americans are saying if it's not rubbing, it's not racing. Well, that's very true of touring cars, but they're all behaving themselves so far. Obviously, there's only a limited amount they can do before the 2nd race here tomorrow. That's turn 3, and then there's a relatively short sprint down to the... And Morbidelli's through to this right-hander at turn 4, 2nd gear. And Morbidelli now up through the gears, up into 4th for this left-hander at turn 5. 5 and 6 taken pretty much together, and then it's the double right-handers at turns 7 and 8, which we should see can be taken as one. Here we go, you see what I mean? That's 7 and 8. Right, let's stay with this then, because Morbidelli's now already having a look at Afanasiev for that final podium spot. Comini and Oriola are pretty much away into the distance. And you have to say behind Gleeson, yes, it's Bellicchi, one of our 4 Italian drivers, sneaking past Kevin Gleeson there. And so I don't think Gleeson's going to give up that position without a fight, though. So it's at the moment in this little battle, it's Seat Honda, but it's 2 Seats at the head of the field. To remind you, if you're just joining us on this auspicious day for the TCR International Series, it's 7 laps gone, and it's Stefano Comini who leads from Pepe Oriola. Now the gap 4.3 seconds now, with this little scrap going on for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Sergei Afanasiev in another of the Craft Bamboo Lukoil cars, currently in 3rd. But it's Gianni Morbidelli who's 7/10 of a second behind. Andrea Bellicchi a further 6/10 behind, and then half a second exactly behind Bellicchi is Kevin Gleeson in the second of the Hondas. So that was lap 8. We are now on our final lap. So we've gone to 9 laps. Obviously, we had an extra formation lap at the beginning, but you can see our leader streaking away off into the distance. That's the man going through shot who's in 2nd place, but Stefano Comini on his final lap, heading towards the first victory of the TCR International Series. Pepe Oriola in 2nd place, and then it's this scrap. Afanasiev, Morbidelli, Bellicchi and Gleeson, with Jordi Genet having stayed ahead of Michel Nukia. But that gap, something like 2.6 seconds or thereabouts, looking at the timing screens. And then it'll be Ferenc Fixer and Lorenzo Velia who pick up the final of the points places. René Munich having pulled over, car 23. That's the 3rd and final of the Honda Civics. But Bellicchi and Gleeson, that gap is opening out. Gleeson dropping back, and Bellicchi having a look at Gianni Morbidelli, but I think that gap is too much to do much about as we head down towards the checkered flag at the end of this lap. So as I was saying, points down to 10th place, and it's currently Lorenzo Velia who will score the solitary point. But as we look down that back straight, way away in the distance, it's Stefano Comini, car 25, the target competition Seat Leon, who rounds the left-hander at turn 15 for the last time. And it'll be the Swiss national anthem we'll be hearing very shortly, because Stefano Comini signals position number 1. Hey guys, takes the checkered flag, and a fantastic victory. Well done to target competition. It's Pepe Oriola who takes 2nd. Sergei Afanasiev holds off Gianni Morbidelli, so 2 of the Craft Bamboo Lukoil cars in the top 3. Morbidelli 4th. It's Andrea Bellicchi 5th. Kevin Gleeson 6th. Jordi Genet 7th. Michel Nukia 8th. 9th is Ferenc Fixer. And 10th, picking up the final point, is Lorenzo Velia. So congratulations to Stefano Comini. What a great result. And it's has to be said, it's pretty much the we expected, because, as I keep saying, Seat's so far down the development route. But you have to say, even the teams that didn't appear at this first race but actually made the trip to Malaysia, very much entering into the spirit of things and saying, look, we're here, we're going to have a go. The car's not particularly well developed, but we've committed to this, and we're prepared to, if you like, do our testing in public. I know the Campos Racing guys put in some very late hours, particularly last night, trying to solve their cooling issues, and also the guys from Pro Team, helped by some of the guys from the UK, from Mountune, the engine supplier, and also from Onyx, working long into the night to sort out their... And I think it is fair to say they are just niggles. For example, one of the faults I know they found was a loose fuse box where the fuses were connecting on one side and weren't connecting on the other, so they split the fuse box, crimped everything together, and then, for example, they had a problem with the fuel pressure, and it was the electrics to the fuel pump. So it's that kind of level that that they're having issues with, which aren't exactly major problems to ground the cars, but it's something that with a bit more time and a bit more testing, the cars could have been sorted out. So let's take a look then at our first results from the 2015 TCR International Series, and it is Stefano Comini who takes the victory for target competition, from Pepe Oriola and Sergei Afanasiev from Team Craft Bamboo Lukoil. The first of the Hondas, Gianni Morbidelli fourth ahead of Andrea Bellicchi, Kevin Gleeson, Jordi Genet, Michel Nukia, Ferenc Fixer and Lorenzo Velia in the surviving Liqui-Moly Team Engstler car, with, I'm sure, a lot of thought being given to why the two Audi TT Cup cars pulled over. Our non-finishers, Mikhail Grachev, Franz Engstler, Igor Skuz not starting, Jordi Oriola not starting, and Diego Romanini not starting in the Pro Team Racing Ford Focus. That's the results then. We'll see the cars back into the pits at the end of this race, and we'll stay with them then for the podium. I did say I'd use the word historic, probably a little bit too much this weekend, but I think it's fair to say that an awful lot of people are very, very pleased to see this championship on track. And I've got to say the welcome that we've had here in Sepang this weekend has been absolutely first-rate. Everybody pleased to see us. Not sure if you saw on Facebook and Twitter yesterday, but a certain Bernie Eccleston dropped into the TCR International paddock to see everybody and to have a look at the cars. You can hear the cheers. Don't know who's happier, the guys from Target, from Italy, or from the Craft Bamboo guys from the UK. And Lukoil, of course, the Russian sponsors are here. Fantastic. Stefano Camini gives the come here, I've got a little present for, what's he, oh dear. Ah. Now, Vanessa, who are you? Or is that the name of the car? If you're watching, Vanessa, congratulations. I think that was dedicated to you. There are the guys, the Gumaras from Target Competition. Very well done to them. Congratulations, first ever winners of a TCR International Series event. And in what has to be said is extremely difficult conditions. Temperatures inside the cars must be incredible. Just looking ahead, looking across at my my Meteo screen, temperatures have stayed pretty consistent. 33 degrees air temperature, track is now 56, and humidity just above 50%. And the the daily thunderstorm probably isn't far away. Congratulations to Stefano, our Swiss driver. And there he is. The checkered flag falls for the first time on the TCR International Series. Stefano Camini taking the win and acknowledging the marshals, the crowd, and saying, position number one, well done us. Here we are backstage as the drivers make their way out to the podium. Very well done, guys. So, Pepe Oriola in the middle. And that's Sergei Afanasiev on the right-hand side. They're just going out of shot. Oriola pleased enough with his second place. That lays a bit of a marker down for the season. Third, not a bad result for Sergei Afanasiev, who's still getting used to front-wheel drive. There are cars. Position number one, Seat Leon of Stefano Camini, and a Seat domination, a lockout of the podium. But a lot to be extremely positive about for the Hondas. To have two cars in the top six, Gianni Morbidelli fourth and Kevin Gleeson sixth, after having set the pole position time for race one. And I think work to be done on the two Audis for the Engstler team.
Here they come, ladies and gentlemen, and the first podium of the weekend within third place, Sergei Afanasiev of Russia. From well done to him. In second place, from Spain, Pepe Oriola. Well done, fighting second place from Pepe. And the winner from Switzerland, Stefano Comini. And in his honour, we will hear the Swiss national anthem. International Series, the trophies are presented by David Sonshire, the CEO of WSC Asia Limited. Complimenti to Stefano. And to Vanessa, of course, as well. And also, of course, the team target competition, the team winners, well done, guys. To the second place driver, Pepe Oriola from Team Kraft Bamboo Lukoil, well done to him. And to the third place driver, Sergei Afanasiev from the same team. Well done to all of you. And now at your feet. Let's have a word with the first three drivers. Stefano, complimenti, well done to you. What was it like to win that first ever TCR race?
Thank you very much. It was a normal race for me. Start on the third position and take the lead after 2 laps, I think. And yes, the first corner was a little complicated, but I can win the race today. I'm happy. Really thanks to the target competition, because the car was incredible, but really incredible. The setup is the right one, and I think that this year we can do a good job together.
And tell us, who is Vanessa?
Sorry?
Who is Vanessa?
Yeah.
Who is she?
Yeah.
Is that your car?
Take to Pepe.
So what are the conditions like out there? What's the track conditions like?
The track is very hot. Today is really very hot. I was lucky because to be first, I can take down my windows, and I had more air. But it's very hot and it's very strong to drive today here in Sepang.
Well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
Pepe, great drive through to second place. That was a really attacking, pushing drive.
Yeah, since yesterday I had a really good feeling with the car. Since first session I was first with a little bit of advantage to the second one. But today in qualifying we didn't feel good with the car, or we got surprised with these new tires. This car, I just drive it for some tests in Spain before to come here, and I used my experience and I pushed as much as I could. I got hit on the first corner, so that helped me a lot because I was on the first lap I was almost already fifth. So I'm happy for the result of today, and tomorrow I started on third position with the reverse grid, so I'm quite happy.
Congratulations, well done. A quick word with Sergei as well. Sergei, are you happy with third place? Your teammate came and overtook you there and deprived you of second.
You know, it was an unbelievable first race of the series. Marcello Lotti did a fantastic job. Seat did a fantastic job in preparing the cars. The team, Kraft Bamboo Lukoil, did a fantastic job to learn them and to prepare them for the race. Also, they did a fantastic job to take the sun cream with them this time, because it was feeling like a sauna, really pretty warm sauna. But I'm amazed to be on the podium in the first race. Okay, P3. I think it's enough. It's enough of extra kilos which I get. I thought, okay, Pepe, get more. Next race we fight.
Okay, well done. Congratulations. Well done, guys. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed. Well done.
Thank you, Malaysia.
Bob Constanduros there with the questions and the commentary of the awards and the champagne. What a fantastic first race. We thought it would be good, but it turned out to be an absolute cracker. Seats 1, 2 and 3, but promise from the Hondas, to put it mildly, and we do it all again for race 2 tomorrow. From Sepang, from all of us on the production team, this is Mark James saying thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow.